Hey, what's good, everybody? My name is Polo. Hope you're doing well. And today we are talking about NBA legend Pete Maravich. Okay. Now, I didn't know much about Pete Maravich. I mean, I'd heard of the name. I knew he was a point guard. To be honest with you, I disregarded a lot of old school NBA players, most of my life. I always thought they were great for being innovative and things of that nature, and that just the other generations just improved upon things that they built. So I do give them credit for that. But as far as saying like someone from the 80s generation was better than like the 90s or whatever, as far as the athletes and the competition, I agree that the 90s was more entertaining. But I just thought that the athletes that they were coming out with now, like, with the Carmelo Anthonys and the LeBron Jameses, the Kobe Bryants, et cetera, the Kevin Durants, I wasn't having any of it, and my opinion has changed a lot, especially in regards to Larry Bird, but that's another video that I've already reacted to. But in terms of Pete Maravich, all right, didn't know much about him as well. And if you had to ask me what my favorite point guards that could handle the ball, like, who I would have, or just guards in general, I would say that I was a big fan. I would say Kyrie Irving is the best ball handler that I've ever witnessed. Okay, to my opinion. Another one of my favorites is Jamal Crawford. Not saying that he's one of the greatest of all time, but he's one of my favorite. And if I had to pick a third, I'd say Allen Iverson. And you notice there's no Pete in that list. In fact, I don't even know if Pete would have made my top 10, But I saw a reel, about Pistol Pete that had me interested in watching a video about him. And this is NBA Legends and Players Explain how special Pistol Pete Maravich was. All right, so before we get started, if you like this type of content on this channel, do me a big favor and like the video if you want to stay up to date. Whenever I post, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let's go ahead and check this video out.
That ball looks like a part of his hand.
And all 3 years I was second to Pistol.
He ain't trying to leave till an hour, 2 hours after practice. I wasn't trying to leave either.
When discussing players who were truly ahead of their time, the list is incredibly short, and without question, Pistol Pete Maravich belongs at the forefront of that conversation. Maravich wasn't just a player, he was a visionary, someone who redefined what was possible on a
So you could dunk there as well. I was going to say that most NBA players could dunk, but I don't know about that generation.
basketball court long before the game caught up to his level of creativity and innovation. While most players of his era focused on the fundamentals and a more structured style of play, Maravich brought an artistry and flair that was simply unmatched. His dazzling ball handling, no-look passes, and deep shooting range were not just flashy. They were showcasing a style of play that seemed like it belonged to a future generation. Maravich didn't just play basketball, he performed it, which is honestly the perfect way to describe what he did.
And then he makes people look stupid too. I like flashy players. If you ask me what my favorite thing about the NBA is, I don't watch the NBA anymore. Stopped watching it years ago. But as far as ball handlers, like, there's some people that can dribble the ball very well, and there's other people that they move with the ball. It's like poetry in motion watching them play. And Pistol, I can easily see he's one of those people. It's like an art to them. And then he has, a lot of flashy people like to embarrass people as well. And there's also those dribblers who are really good at getting around you with the ball. And there's the other ones that can make you move. Like when I played pickup ball or whatever, that's my game. You know what I mean? I love to make you move in a different direction than the direction that I want to go, versus try to go around you or finesse my way. That's the way I like to play when I play the game. And he strikes me as the type of person that's good with dribbling with the ball and going around people. But I'll see if he actually makes people like break ankles, just have somebody just fall or just go in a completely different direction. I'm sure he's done it, but I mean, like, if that's one of his signature things. All right, Kyrie Irving, he's the person that does both of those things. Okay. To me, some of the best ball handlers, they do both, or they're just really good at one or the other, the more structured style. But yeah, let's keep it going here. It's I can tell by that behind the back thing he did there that he's a true hooper.
For the game. At LSU, he averaged an NCAA record
Look at
of
that pass.
44.2 points per game over 3 seasons, which still stands today and might never be broken. Analysts estimate that if the three-point shot had existed,
44 points for a guard. You know, as a man who's not that tall, you know what I mean? I love guards that are powerful. That's why all my favorite players were like undersized, like Baron Davis. I was a big fan of Baron Davis. Dunking on Karolinko, you know, when that happened. Just enjoy. I enjoy the guard play more so than, you know, the power forward, centers, and small forwards. So, you know, when it comes to any point guard who can dominate a game, even though that's not what they were designed to do, you know, but if they can do that and find a way to win, oh man, this must-see TV for me.
an NCAA record of 44.2 points per game over 3 seasons, which still stands today and might never be broken. Analysts
That's
estimate
crazy.
that if the three-point shot
44
had
points.
existed during his college career, he would have easily averaged over 50-plus points per game. He turned ordinary games into must-see events. For example, scoring 68 points in an NBA game without a
pass.
three-pointer is absolutely insane for a guard, demonstrating a scoring ability that would have made him an even bigger star in today's NBA.
Switch
His
hands.
creativity extended beyond scoring. His passes were works of art, threading needles and finding teammates in ways that left opponents and sometimes even his teammates stunned. What makes Pistol Pete even more remarkable is that his impact transcends his era. Players like Magic Johnson, Steve Nash, and Stephen Curry have all carried elements of Maverick.
Okay, they got here. Hold on.
Players like Magic Johnson, Steve Nash, and Stephen Curry.
All right, so of course Magic was magic with the ball. Okay, Steph Curry is another one of the greatest ball handlers that I've ever seen as well. He is I know he's big for his shooting, but his ball handling, he's in the top 10 for sure for me. You know what I mean? On top of on top of the fact that he's a champion, multi-champion at that. So to be able to do it and to get his team to win, you know, we were just speaking about that a second ago.
Have all carried elements of Maverick style into their own games. His approach to the game wasn't just ahead of its time. It helped shape the evolution of basketball into the fast-paced, skill-oriented sport we see today. So to truly grasp how transcendent Pistol Pete was, listen to what NBA legends and players say about his game. Enjoy the video, man.
Man, you couldn't steal it from Pistol Pete. He come down there and make up shots in the air. The no-look passes, the dribble the ball and pat it with one hand. That's where I saw all that from Pistol Pete. That's where I got it from him.
Boy, could he play basketball.
You know, that's one thing I love about the 80s, 70s, 80s, early 90s players. It's just that generation of how honest they were to give credit where credit is due, okay? No diva mentality, no purses, all right, no storming off. Well, they might have stormed off, who knew? I didn't watch y'all, but you guys get where I'm going with that, how he said, hey, a lot of my game comes from this guy. I pulled it from him, and I for one love that about Magic Johnson and a lot of players from his generation. I've heard Larry Bird give it up as well, you know.
His approach to the game wasn't just ahead of its time. It helped shape the evolution of basketball into the fast-paced, skill-oriented sport we see today. So to truly grasp how transcendent Pistol Pete was, listen to what NBA legends and players say about his game. Enjoy the video, man.
Man, you couldn't steal it from Pistol Pete. He come down there and make up shots in the air. The no-look passes, the dribble the ball and pat it with one hand. That's where I saw all that from Pistol Pete. That's where I got it from him.
Boy, could he play basketball and could he entertain you. You know, the no-look passes, the dribble the ball and pat it with one hand. That's where I saw all that from Pistol Pete. That's where I got it from.
I always said, man, that ball looks like a part of his hand. And I said, he must spend a lot of time dribbling and able to shoot the way he can shoot.
And you actually had
Trying to play in Atlanta.
And people always say dribble. He handled the ball like it was a yo-yo. He could go this way with it, that
yo-yo.
way with it. He could put it this way. Next thing you know, the yo-yo goes out that way. But the yo-yo was the basketball. Okay, the basketball was like an invisible string on his hand.
Floater.
I mean, he could really handle the ball.
Don't you get the feeling that when you're doing these things,
You know, some of these passes are done just to show the opponent that I'm thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. All right, where I throw it behind my back, I know someone's coming. I know they're open. I know you're trying to get at me. You know what I mean? So it's very disrespectful without saying anything. That's why it's beautiful, and it's what I always love about great ball handlers, great guards who can score. like that by outwitting their opponent.
Ball becomes sort of an extension of your hand.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt.
Feet fake left, go right, come back. Look at him yo-yo the ball. Spin it left side of the grip. Back to AJ. The Magic Man Mirovich.
Because it was like a guy that game.
Okay, so what I'll say here, just from watching him dribble, my opinion, because I'm watching this with an open mind. Is he a better ball handler than Kyrie Irving? No, he's not. The things that he may have innovated a lot of stuff that Kyrie Irving does. I'm comparing him to Kyrie because that's who I got at the top. But I'm looking at the way he dribbles and the way he moves. It's very strong. You may not be able to take it from him. He may have a high IQ. He may be a killer. All those things. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the ball handling alone versus when Kyrie dribbles the ball, his body, it's kind of hard to explain it. Like if you ever see some of his videos, the way he moves with the ball, it's like you just can't take it from this guy. And he's so smooth, and it's hard to put in words, but he can just slide across anybody, left or right, through him, whatever, and still finish in any kind of way. But it's great to see where a lot of it comes from. Does Pete for all you people that know the NBA more than I do, okay, does he make your top 10? I'm not of the opinion that just because someone started something that they should be put in there off of some emotions or something like that. I'm going to judge it based off of, of the eye test. What do I think in the stats? Just because you can cross the ball and dribble really good, that doesn't make you the greatest ball handler, or you may have come up with it first. Tim Hardaway, I think he invented the crossover, I'm not mistaken. And so many people have perfected it. Iverson perfected it. Irving perfected it. Jamal Crawford perfected it. Okay. So, of course it's all subjective. At the end of the day, it's sports. It's all fun and games, but I'm curious. But watching this, do I have him in my top 10? Absolutely. Okay. I'm not saying I don't, but I don't put him in the top 3 because he created everything,
Yeah, I felt.
Or was the first to be seen doing it.
Feet fake left, go right, come back. Look at him yo-yo the ball. Spin it left side of the grip.
Like just in the way he's dribbling the ball right there, okay, you would never see Kyrie dribble like that.
Ball becomes sort of an extension of your hand.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt.
Feet fake left, go right, come back. Look at him.
But he's highly intelligent enough to keep the ball away from them, where they still can't steal it. And again, no one had really seen it. They're calling it yo-yo the ball back then. So he's doing something that's not common at that time. But I'm just looking at the way he's dribbling. Excuse me. I'm looking at that, and yeah, he's incredible. But does he make my top 5 in terms of everybody I've seen handle the ball? That's a tough one.
Yo-yo the ball. Spin it left side of the grip. Back to AJ. The Magic Man Mirovich.
Because it was like a guy, the game was boring to him, so he had to create things to keep him interested.
Pete just has so much razzle-dazzle in his game. He was just hard to guard.
Oof, that's such a good
move. The way
move.
he handled the basketball so flippantly.
Reminds me of Ginobili.
So sort of carelessly, really.
And that definitely looks like when Magic say that, you can tell he got that from Magic Johnson right there. Magic got that from him. I got it backwards, excuse me.
And so sort of carelessly really offended a lot of basketball purists.
What Pistol would do, he would take the ball and set it behind his back, catch the ball, and shoot.
Is that legal?
Set it behind his back, catch the ball, and shoot. That was sweet.
But he has a lot in his arsenal. Just from watching these replays, there's not many weaknesses. Left, right, hook, under, it doesn't matter. Stop and pop.
He was a true entertainer. And I think he looked at entertainment more than basketball.
He used his basketball as a form.
Is that a compliment?
True entertainer. And I think he looked at entertainment more than basketball.
He used his basketball as a form of self-expression, and one of the real leaders in bringing basketball into the sort of area of artistry. It was like his form of art.
Yeah.
In college, Pistol and I fought for the scoring leader.
Before he goes in, an example of that would be like somebody like Kawhi Leonard, right? To me, you know, he's very stiff with his game. You know what I mean? To me, he's a legend, but he doesn't flow. You know what I mean? He does. It's not an art to him. It's he's like he gets it done, that type of thing. You know, like he's just. And the opposite of that would be Pete here. You know, who when you watch him, it's just like he's fun to watch. Even if you're on the other team and you notice a player like that, you're like, oh, that was a good move. But you can't. You know, well, I'm the type. If it's a good move and I'm on the other team, I don't give them props. But I'm competitive enough where I'm saying I'm coming right back at you on this next play.
Form of art.
In college, Pistol and I fought for the scoring leader in the country. And all 3 years, I was second to Pistol.
And I did a lot of things in college. I've set something like around 50 basketball records from high school, college, and pro.
And I used to make excuses. The only reason Pistol scored more than me is because his dad coached him and so on and so forth, until I got to play against him.
I'm the leading scorer. I averaged over 44 points a game for a 3-year period.
Goodness gracious. It's hard to describe somebody that was about 6'6", 6'7".
He was 6'6".
Handle the ball is well or better than myself.
Oh, he got the cheat code. He was tall.
I averaged over 44 points a game for a 3-year period.
6'6" guy handling the ball like that is a problem. Okay. All right. All right. I didn't know he was that tall.
Gracious. It's hard to describe somebody that was about 6'6", 6'7". Handle the ball is well or better than myself.
Damn, how tall was Tracy McGrady?
I'm the leading scorer of all time in college basketball. It'll be broken someday.
Right. You were right there at the top.
You had all
in fact, a lot of your scoring records you set there at LSU still stand.
I got a chance to play with him for the first time in the high school All-American game in Memphis. And it's tough. You trying to play your game and you're watching him.
There's a basketball player that ever played this game that can score as fast as Meredith.
Well, Pete was a tougher competitor in himself with his floppy socks and laissez-faire attitude, you know, on the court, so to speak. He was a guy that could do it all. I mean, offensively, we used to talk about it, you know, a lot. You know, even talk with him because we were friends. And the things that he did, he practiced them. Nothing that he did was so much spontaneous. It was because he had done these things over and over again.
This is what I had seen that made me want to watch this video, because I've done this, but you know, it's funny when you find out, you know, where it started. You know, I've been doing that since I was, you know, I don't know, 14. You know what I mean? And a lot of the other practices, but you know, when it comes together, like hey, you know where that comes from. It's wild. All right. Some of these exercises I did.
Good again in practice, and he got 68 on us, as you know. And when I was with the Knicks, and I used to tell Clyde and Butch Beard that he only got 6 on me.
Came down on the break.
Now, I'm not saying I'm a great hooper by any means. I'm average, depending on, you know, I'm not close to any NBA player, nothing like that. Just for fun. Okay, I just enjoy the ball handling aspect and the shooting aspect of basketball. It's one of my favorite things, and the defensive aspect of it as well, which I stopped watching the NBA when they stopped playing defense, you know, now, so that was years ago. But, you know, I still would watch off and on, you know, the playoffs or whatever, then it just got unbearable. But then YouTube also takes up so much of my time as well. But yeah, this is just really surreal for me in terms of seeing things that you thought your whole life, all right? I used to play this game called NBA Live and NBA 2K, and me and my brother, we would battle back and forth on this game, and we would learn a lot about the old school players on the game, because it would tell you their statistics, like, hey, they were a 99 in dribbling, they were a 50% in three-point shooting. It'll tell you their statistics, and you'd be like, damn, they always got Larry Bird overrated on there and these guys, but neither one of us, I don't know if we ever thought about Pete Maravich, but if he had like a 90 in shooting, we would still, because we would do this thing where we would pick our own teams, and we would pick legends and current players, and at that time it might have been like 2090s players. So sometimes we would pick players that were old school or whatever, and my brother, who's a little bit older, he would pick Larry Bird. Okay, this is my blood brother, but this is, you know, consider him my brother. And he knew a lot more about basketball than I did, so he would pick Larry Bird and tear my ass up sometimes with that player. But I didn't like the way Larry Bird's release was on the game, so I never picked him. I rarely picked him. But I always thought he was like, man, they just be hyping those dudes up. And then you see the actual footage of them playing that. But neither one of us, I don't believe, ever picked Pete Maravich when we were picking our teams, picking our greatest players, because we didn't know, all right? The more you know.
Shot it, he let it go, he turned around and started running, and as the ball ripped the net, he said, he did did this, and we all went like, Larry did that, Larry got that from him, and he would do stuff like that. I was like, man, how good is that guy? He shoots the ball, turns around, and he runs it. As he's ripping the net, he just does that. Then we'd play horse.
Another thing has hit me too, like at the YMCA, it just occurred to me, I've seen so many white guys that have modeled their game after Pete. Now when I think back at it, I remember this one guy came in, like his whole game was like similar. The way he played, shot, and his layups and everything else. You don't want to guard those dudes. They're annoying to guard and very hard to stop from scoring, and they love to keep moving without the ball. So now that kind of puts that in perspective too, because everybody models. I don't know if everybody does that. Maybe I'm just thinking to myself, but I model my game after Dwayne Wade, Baron Davis, and Allen Iverson. Okay, so that's who I watched and studied to try to get my game as close to theirs as possible.
As he's ripping the net, he just does that. Then we play horse. And he had some shots where he'd jump out of bounds. He had shots I never thought of ever shooting shots.
A lot of amazing things with the basketball. He was really a showman. I mean, Pete would go out there to put on a show. I mean, that's what he wanted to do. That's how he looked at himself, as a showman.
My reaction was, thank God for Pete Maravich. Over the 6 years that I was in the NBA, they told all of us that if you were 6'5" and under, you can't make any money. So at the time, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain was the only two guys that were making money.
Ooh.
When Pete came in, he changed the whole pay structure.
Pete Maravich learned something new every day. Okay, had no love for the little guys, the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys that are now, some of them are making the most money.
Maravich, the New Orleans Jazz, in my opinion, one of the great guards that ever played the game. So many things he's done from the time he was a little bitty one.
He looks like he's tall.
To make basketball not only his life, but a part of his hands. Now you see that little drill he did there? That looks simple, but it has meaning. Everything he does has meaning. What about that drill, Pete?
This right here is just for a coordination standpoint of just, you spread your legs out, and the object is to throw the ball at a 45-degree angle, catch it behind you, and throw it back with your wrist, getting stronger wrist.
Yeah.
This just develops the coordination part of it and leads up to a more dramatic part of a drill, which I call the bullet ricochet.
Yeah, but you told me don't bend your knees, right?
So he just explained. I never really knew why I did it. Maybe I was just showing off. All right, but he just broke it down to me. I just started created me having my hands more comfortable behind my back and catching the ball or whatever. So that's crazy. Let's see this again here.
Dramatic part of a drill.
These old school coaches, I always enjoy the way they talk.
Which I call the bullet ricochet.
Yeah, but you told me don't bend your knees, right?
You don't want to bend your knees.
You'll ever get hurt.
Because if you do, you open up a pocket under there and you might end up where you don't want to end up.
All right, let's see you do it.
Okay, this is coordination.
Now watch it very closely. He goes faster and faster.
Now it develops into what I call a bullet ricochet, where you just throw it and you continually increase your speed and continue to increase your hand quickness.
Okay, I'm not doing that. All right, I never did that part. Not unless I'm wearing a cup.
You realize the speed that thing is going? Hold it, Pete. It gets me nervous. Every time he does that, it gets me nervous.
Makes me nervous, too.
I can remember when Pete got traded from Atlanta, where he started his career, over to New Orleans when the team went down there in his expansion team. And they had never won a game. They were 0-14, and they were the worst team in the league. And Otto Moore was the center, and they couldn't do anything, but Pete was just lighting them up. And the Portland Trailblazers, we go in there, we had a team, and it was not the championship team, but we had a good enough team. And we were pounding them early, way up at halftime, and Pete in the second half just takes over, and he goes absolutely wild. He's playing 1 against 5, and he's up and down the court shooting jumpers, hooks, full court behind the back passes through guys' legs. He's just everything. And at the very last play of the game, we're up 1, and Pete dribbles up, 4 of our guys go chase him because they know he's not going to pass it, and he's falling out of bounds, and he shoots it as he's tumbling over the row of fans in the corner.
Literally.
And I am standing underneath the basket waiting for the last rebound of the game. We're going to win the game, and they're not going to win a game ever, the New Orleans Jazz. And the ball swishes perfectly through the net. He's unbelievable. And he reminds me a lot, if you can compare him to anybody, to Steve Nash today, although
that's a great comparison.
Much bigger. Pete's 6'5", and much more athletic in terms of the jumping ability until he tore.
Yeah, I would say that Steve Nash is a good comparison.
Yeah, I mean that really changed everything.
Having the kind of career he had in college and bringing that same game and style in the pros, you know, really make people, or I would say the people that didn't really get a chance to see him, really miss something. We lost him too early, you know, because I think his accomplishment to the game of basketball, man, and how he played it and how he loved it and how he can do things with that basketball that most couldn't.
Leonard, Gervin.
We gonna remember it for a long time.
Now Maravich brings it up behind the back. How do you do? A little showtime there.
You're looking.
You see this move here, okay? You know, now for those of you who think I'm tripping, maybe in terms of when I say, well, Kyrie doesn't get trapped up like this.
Leonard, Gervin.
We gonna remember it for a long time.
Now Maravich brings it up behind the back. How do you do? A little showtime there.
Absolute beautiful pass, though. Okay, but he would either split that, cross over to the left side. I mean, spin to the left. His creativity with his dribbling is just unmatched, and just finished. Okay, just I'm just saying I'm not. How do I say this? Because sometimes I got to say things so that people who watch it, who get emotional, might get upset with me. I'm not saying that Kyrie Irving is better than Pete Maravich. I'm just pointing out one aspect of their game. In terms of one of the things I love about basketball, and it's one of the things that's really great about him, he's a top-tier ball handler, no question, okay? But things like that's what I mean, that the elite ball handlers, they rarely get caught up like that. It can happen to anyone. They can get trapped,
You're looking at Pistol Pete Maravich, in my opinion, the greatest playmaker playing today.
NCAA scoring champion at LSU, twice an NBA scoring champion.
I met Pete when he was maybe a sophomore in high school. I met him at Dolph Shays' camp up in New York. And his father, Press Maravich, was a guest speaker. And he brought his son, he couldn't have been more than 13, 14 years old. But the skills that he had as a basketball player, even at that young age, were unbelievable. You knew that he was going to be a great player. He was an exhibitionist, the dribbling, the passing, throwing the ball, taking it off his head, shooting it into the bag. I mean, he had so many tricks, it was unbelievable.
Some of these aren't the best highlights to pick for me.
Amazing about Pete, 44 points per game, career for 3 straight years in an era with no three-point line. Dale Brown, who coached at LSU after Press and Pete were there, Dale Brown went back and charted all the games with the running score. Maravich free throw, Maravich 22-foot jumper, Maravich layup. And he calculated that with the current college three-point rule at 19.9, Pete Maravich would have averaged 13 three-point makes per game, which would have given him a career average of 57 points per game under today's rules. That guy is unbelievable. We love him. We miss him terribly.
That's because he was an innovator. All right. Now, the problem is once everybody else catches up and everybody else can do the same thing, it makes it a lot harder to do that. Because if you put Kyrie Irving or Allen Iverson or Jamal Crawford in an era where people have not seen these things before, they're not even used to seeing the Euro step and some of the new moves that were created after Pete, you're going to be able to take advantage of that, in my opinion,
First white guy to have the flash and style and between the legs and behind the back. I mean, because my favorite move was the move he did to Jerry West.
Pete Maravich, he would take the basketball, right? And he would fake the pass.
I hate when this guy talks.
Bounce it here, bounce it behind him, fake the pass, and you as a defender would jump, and he'd turn back around, catch the ball, and shoot it.
That was a hell of a move. And I was like, okay, I got to try that.
No
So I tried it in the game, and Steve Coulter stole it.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and tell me what was your favorite Pistol Pete story, or you have a favorite moment from Pistol Pete. So make sure you like, share, subscribe.
My favorite story would be learning how he practiced. Okay, let me get this off the screen here. Yeah, it would be learning how he practiced and learning and basically coming to a full circle to a lot of things that I've been doing my entire life and where it came from. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, Pete Maravich, where do you rank him in terms of your all-time great point guards? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think he's even in, this debate that I've been having with myself? Do you even think that he's in the top 10, top 5 in terms of ball handling? I definitely believe that he's an innovator, but once the NBA caught up to all that crossover stuff and they start drafting people like Gary Payton, you ain't scoring 44 points, right? You know what I mean? Who was the first point guard that had like a what did he get? He got the defensive award of the year, I believe, one time. So that's my debate with it. But you guys let me know. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. Who should I dive into next for your favorite sport, whether it be in the NBA or NHL, NFL? It don't matter. Okay. I appreciate you guys for watching. Peace.
Yes! Look what I have created! I have